I was really surprised by the programming languages results. I quite like this. I wasn't expecting that a large majority of folks would be in this space, but this makes my life so much easier because we can do this stuff and then we can segue to these things. Like once we explain some of the higher order concepts on things to do, like with intent based languages, we can even create embedded DSLs, domain specific languages in C++ that actually become intent based languages. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Jonathan Reagan Kelly and team did with Halide. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to GTT. Testing the chat. Chat's looking good. Here we are. So happy Friday. That's what day it is. This week was something else. So if I'm a little foggy, it's just because we've been real busy. So tonight, for our Friday night meandering, we are, hey T, what's going on, buddy? We're going to go over a few things. First, a little meandering on the polls. So thank you, everybody. Love that. So great. Just really super helpful to give me some perspective on things. We'll circle back to that. Next, we'll talk about me upgrading to Google AI Studio or whatever the heck it's called. Yeah, Google AI Studio. I'm in this guy now. Got things working. And so we'll take a quick look at that. But the majority of this stream is probably going to be on these two topics. So one of those, yes. T's making the comment, just another one of those weeks. 100%. That is right. I've moved my mic yet again, and so now I have to kind of do this to see the chat. But it's in a good spot, I think, because you're going to get my voice at a near constant level the whole time, I hope. Whereas before when I had it here, I don't know. We're a work in progress, as I think all you guys know. All right, so the majority of this stream is probably going to be on these two things. So is math hard science, soft science, etc.? That was a question from Untranslatable Metaphor. So I finally am getting around to that. Then we're going to look at this really deep comment by Nguyen. And whew, this is a doozy. We're going to try to unpack a little bit of this. It's probably going to take some time. And if by some miracle we're just rocking and we want to keep going, then we'll reflect on this transactional memory specification document that Untranslatable was mentioning, just to give some perspective on how these types of things happen. They are a lot of work. But doing things in like open standards tends to be, pretty rigorous. Very slow, but slow can be good, especially if you want to be not breaking backward compatibility. So, yes, T's made the comment that mic placement is 300% of the battle. Oh, also, I have the doggy in tow. He's right down here. So we did some exercise. We've done some walks. I think he's pretty chill. He gives me that little extra energy boost. So hopefully he'll stick around. He hasn't gone for the door yet. So that's basically what we're going to discuss. I do intend to get through at least these four things: the polls, Google AI Studio, the math thing, and then this comment. And we'll see about this last one. So let's dive in. Starting with our polls, I just want to show everybody where we are ish. this like a little bit bigger. So first, thanks everybody for commenting on the polls. I love this. It really helps me get a sense of what people are thinking, where people are, which can be a little bit different maybe from where I am, because I'm maybe viewing things in a slightly strange, uh, from a slightly strange lens. So this is very helpful, and I still haven't figured out how to do more than 4 of these, but this feedback's great. I was actually a little bit surprised. I didn't suspect Amazon Cairo would get this many votes, and I did think that Google Suite would get more. It doesn't surprise me that Anthropic was sort of the highest one. If I were to make a bet on an AI company that's doing stuff with code that's not Merly, I'd probably be betting on Anthropic. One, I think that Dario kind of knows what he's doing. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, last I checked, Dario has a PhD, but I think his PhD is like in physics or something, which is not bad. But like uh, Chris Latner's PhD, who runs Modular AI, is in computer science, and they're doing computer science stuff. So, um, not that you need a PhD. It's just I feel like Chris Latner might be a little bit more aligned for this, and I know that people kind of just fall into these things. So, uh, anyway, that piece aside, the big thing with the PhD, at least the way I think about it, is not so much that it's a prerequisite for you to do incredible things. I think oftentimes, at least from my perspective, what it can help with is your ability to think deeply on problems. And that's kind of the way a lot of the PhD programs view it. Is it has very little to do with the actual topic that you're researching, and it has far more to do with your ability to demonstrate that you can move knowledge forward in a domain. Because the idea then is if you can do this in one domain, then you can do it in another domain and another domain, right? So it's sort of like mathematical induction. You can do it for this one case, and then you can do it for a second case. And that's the way that I have always thought of it ever since my advisors, I think, explained it to me this way. And this is kind of the way that I mentor PhDs. So it doesn't really hurt Dario that he has a PhD in non-computer science. It just might make him like a little bit stronger. Uh, but overall, I think Anthropic, based on what I've read, I think that they're pretty good. I think they seem to know what they're doing. They're creating the right kind of partnerships in general. So this one doesn't surprise me. This one actually did surprise me, to be honest, that AnySphere Cursor didn't get as high votes. And not because I think it's wrong. I think it's right. I think it's absolutely right. But I wasn't sure if the Jeters would be as well informed on a lot of the challenges that I suspect AnySphere Cursor will likely run into, given that they have very little technical moat and they're in a fairly competitive, saturated space. They may not have the background that other folks have. Like these 3 titans are pretty strong, and even though Anthropic is maybe the least established of these 3, I mean, trillion dollar company, not trillion dollar company, but uh, they've already demonstrated themselves as wildly successful, not just in their ability to create products, but to innovate on machine learning. And so when you couple that with their ability to function strategically as a business partner, there's just a lot of good things. So, but what I was expecting is, given the hype around AnySphere Cursor, people would vote this higher. And this actually warms my heart a little bit because it tells me something about the Jeters, which is I think that many of you are feeling kind of a similar vibe that I'm feeling, which is these systems that like the windsurfs of the world or the cursors of the world, or even the like GitHub copilots of the world, if it's just an infrastructural advance, again, no disrespect, I'm just trying to look at this as like if I were chief strategy officer for M&A at some big tech company, I would ask questions like this, like what are we getting by acquiring this company, or what do we think their potential threat is, this kind of thing. And I wouldn't be too worried about this, since most of their tech is reliant on other people, right? Like, as I understand it, this is largely based off of Visual Studio Code, VS Code. That's somebody else's stuff. The models themselves are from Anthropic. That's somebody else's stuff. And then you start to ask the question of like, well, what is your stuff? And then if their stuff is just the glue that sticks this together, I mean, again, no disrespect, the glue stuff is important, but glue stuff can be replicated pretty easy. I read somewhere that they supposedly made some technical advance where they were able to extend the prompt length or something, but I that didn't sound too exciting to me. Anyway, all these results I think are very informative to me, and so thank you all for taking the time. I think it also helps us just generally engage as a community. So I was really surprised by the programming languages results. I quite like this. I wasn't expecting that a large majority of folks would be in this space, but this makes my life so much easier because we can do this stuff and then we can segue to these things. Like once we explain some of the higher order concepts on things to do, like with intent-based languages, we can even create embedded DSLs, domain-specific languages in C++ that actually become intent-based languages. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Jonathan Reagan Kelly and team did with Halide out of MIT. So super surprised with that one. Absolutely loved it. I actually thought that a lot of people were going to vote for this one as the number one area of interest, and it kind of makes sense given. Yeah, exactly. T. Let's go team systems languages. But so yeah, another one that really warmed my heart. And then I think we talked a little bit about this. I love that everybody thought a lot of people really want to go super advanced. We'll get there for sure. Anyway, so thanks again. I'll continue to try to run these polls as often as I can. All right. The next topic is that I've upgraded to the Google AI Studio, and I mostly just want to show it. I don't really want to fiddle with it in this stream, maybe in the next stream. But I do want to share that all I really did is I kind of upgraded to this system, and then I figured out a way to give it the code from the Goju Tech Talk thumbnail generator somehow. I can't remember. I dropped it in and said, just use this. And then I want to say that something that was really kind of bothering me, they handled pretty quickly, which is I think I mentioned this in one of the former streams or VODs. I'm just going to pull this over a little bit here. I know it'll get a little bit behind this, but we can go right about there. You can still see it. Yeah. So one of the things I was mentioning is I really disliked how like the HTML and the CSS and the JSON was basically all embedded in this one file, and it was like regenerating every time. It did not make sense to me, not in terms of a way to do this maybe efficiently, right? And from my perspective, I felt like, as I think we discussed, there's a section in this that is the actual code, which is things that execute operations and control the flow of the program. And that's generally the stuff that we're going to be fiddling with. when we're making changes. It's not to say that we won't fiddle with the JSON or the CSS. We will, but it kind of, they're separate things, right? It's like the model view controller thing, MVC. I'm probably getting the order wrong, but it's like you separate these things out because conceptually they are controlling different aspects of the system. You kind of don't want them all together. It's sort of why you put your socks in a different spot where you put your t-shirts, right? It's just like you could put them all together, but having that separation for the different categories is likely going to make it easier to find stuff. Let's take a look at what T's saying over here. Yeah. Yeah, T's saying, for some reason, I find that really funny. Giving the vibe coding tool code and telling it deal with this. That's actually pretty much exactly what I did. I said deal with it, and it seemed to have done a pretty good job. That it dealt with it and it separated these things out. So at the very minimum, we now have some separation of concepts, which I absolutely love. This is, goes back to that one of those fundamental principles as you're building software, that you generally want to have things be loosely coupled. So you're not binding things together unless you absolutely need to, but they're strongly cohesive, meaning they can be separate, but then, see, I've got this here. Let's do this. They can be separate, but then when you bring them together, they're kind of like magnets, is that they'll stick. Magnets that are going the right way. Um, like sticky paper kind of thing, that you can get them to stick together and it works, but then you can also pull them apart. And this is not necessarily a trivial thing to do, but as you scale these systems and you start to work with them, I think, to solve more complex problems, or you're trying to improve the resilience of the systems, like make it super secure, super performant, having separation of things conceptually, at least what I found, can help quite a bit in those efforts. So anyway, now we're over here and it seems to be working. I was fiddling with stuff, as you can see. Oh, it even did, check this out. It even actually, it seems, for the first time, it now actually has it in 16 by 9. And I can't remember if it actually has it in 16 by 9 when I save it, but at least the presentation is 16 by 9. Although I will say that I asked it very kindly to be 4K, and it's not. Okay, maybe it wasn't super kindly, but here's what I said: 4K image quality. And I think I said it over here too. I think I asked it multiple times, and I think it's still like I don't even think it's HD. It's, yeah, it's more like 480p or something, which I'm not totally loving, but we're getting there. So that's kind of the latest with our vibe coding thing. And I'm going to fiddle with the Google AI Studio for a little bit and see what we can get up to. And then, based on how things go, I may switch to Claude Code or Amazon Cairo. I will probably skip AnySphere Cursor just because, as we were just discussing, the novelty here, I think, is more in the user interface. Maybe I'll hit it. Depends on how much struggles we have with these other systems. But it seems like a lot of people are using this. And there's also some things that they were saying that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, that made me feel like maybe I'll investigate them last. One of the things that they said, and again, I'm not holding a grudge. I just think that messaging can be important, and there was something. I think they were closing one of their funding rounds with Andreessen, which Andreessen is considered like a top VC firm. A lot of pretty strong people there. And they were talking about how they're super excited to be working with Andreessen, and they can't wait until all the world's code is written by Cursor. And that struck me as a bit strange, because it's kind of like, as I think I was discussing with someone else, is you were pitching this as a way to improve the productivity of programmers. Much like maybe you'd pitch this to improve the productivity of musicians, let's say. And then after you start getting some traction, you then post and say, oh, this is so awesome. I can't wait till our system is the system that we use to create all the world's music. Like, I don't think that the musicians are going to be super thrilled with that messaging, even if that is your strategy. Also, I don't think that that's a good strategy. I think that is not the right way to think about this. I really think that it fundamentally is about these two things. That machine programming systems, I think, should principally focus on the notion of improving the productivity of the general software development team and improve the quality of the systems. The quality can be a bunch of things. It can be the performance, the correctness, the security, the portability, the maintainability, the readability. There's like a gazillion things related to quality. But generally, if you are getting those two things simultaneously, I think that you're leveling us up. There's no need to go to an extreme and be like, oh, the whole world will be run by Google, right? I don't think Google would ever say this, because I think well, I mean, I hope they wouldn't say this, because likely if they did, you would think, wow, you're like an authoritarian regime. And I don't know that I want to be part of that, because I like having choices and stuff. So anyway, this is a little bit of me going down a rabbit hole. I just saw some stuff that I wasn't like super, it felt a little bit sophomoric. And so it's kind of dropped itself to lower levels on my list. And then also lacking any of the machine learning novelty, except potentially an extended prompt, is not like galvanizing me to, jump on it. Anyway, so there we go. When we got a little bit about the pivot to Google AI Studio, and so far, I'm loving it. So far, so good. I like that it separated the stuff out. I like that it figured out how to actually pull in the system. I like that it actually is loading here. And I also like that it actually works. Although I will say, we still have the same problem that we had before. Oh, did it fix it? Oh, look at that. I could have sworn, or maybe I asked it to fix it. But yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, before when I would shrink it, it would just wipe out the images. And I thought it was doing that here too, but it looks like it's, at least right now, it's not. So awesome. That's a big +1 for Google AI Studio. That one actually left a bad taste in my mouth, because I didn't know at first that it was going to do this. And then I had some images and I was just fiddling with stuff and it wiped them out. Okay. I think that's enough of that. Doggy, stay put. Stay put, doggy. Okay. Let's see what we got on the chat. Yeah, it is a bit disappointing, T. I'll just keep trying, and eventually some AI will probably make this work. I hope. And then that UX UI does look better than the casual Gemini experience. Yeah, definitely. I think this is much more like an IDE, an actual IDE, I think. By the way, I have man, we're going to go down a rabbit hole here. My goal is not to go down a rabbit hole here, but I want to share something. I don't know how I feel about files anymore. Files for code. So just hear me out. Maybe we've talked about this. Historically, we had files for code because like everything was files. And it kind of made sense. But now, as we're moving more toward concepts, I think maybe I mentioned this, that I really like the way Python sort of handles this, is that you just import a package. Like, this feels kind of like the right thing, that it's not, I don't know about the functions or the stuff or whatever. I just know about the concept. Like, I want to do regular expressions. So import the regular expression thing and let me do regular expressions. And you'll notice when you do it at that level, it's so coarse grained that you don't need to know more than just the concept of what you're trying to pull in. So likewise, as I think about the future of software, I I'm stuck with this conundrum of, I'm not sure the way we track source and information for software should be done at a file level. And keep in mind, whatever medium we decide to use to store the actual uh, textual code or binary code or whatever, yeah, I don't care about that. I'm just talking about the way that we reference these things, right? Is that, well, when we're, yeah, like this. This is a great example. Is we just say like, hey, import this thing, and I don't know, just whatever it is, all the stuff, just get the stuff. And this feels like it's more of the correct granularity of interfacing. That's what I think. I need to think about this more, but I don't think that files are the future for software development. At least in the traditional sense of like including files, like especially in C and C++, include string.h or include stream.h, or maybe you don't include the h's now, but it's like include stream. And so if you don't know that stream exists, well, you're out of luck, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that seems strange to me. It seems though we should just specify these concepts, and then the system should be intelligent enough to handle those things. Like that would, I think, be a really good use case for AI, especially in systems languages. Like maybe the top ones that I can think of would be C, C++, maybe Java, maybe C sharp. I think Java is arguably the worst. Maybe it's gotten better, but back in the day when I was coding a lot in Java, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, something like that, just the whole long com slash this, and like I get this all makes sense for security. But my point is like, isn't there a way to like abbreviate this? So we're just like, give me this package and then you just do all the stuff. So anyway, these are somewhat half-baked ideas. I don't actually know exactly what my thought is here. I just know that things I think should make more sense, right? Like for example, let me give you a concrete example of what I kind of think the future might look like. Is if you go to GTT and you're looking at the videos, like you just pick a video. You're like, oh, that's the video, right? You don't have to pick a video file. You don't have to pick an audio file. You don't have to like, and if you think that those things don't exist, I mean, yeah, they exist. It's just that they're elided away, right? It's here. It's like, here's the quality. Pretty much guarantee you that these could very well all be different files, and they could be different stream settings, but I'm pretty sure they're probably just different files. But the point is that it's the right granularity. The granularity is, this is a video about this thing. It's the video that we're interested in here. We don't need to know all the other details about the random things that are related to that video. just get us the video and you figure out all the details. I think that code should be the same way. When you're developing software, it should be, and probably I'm talking more about systems languages, but this kind of goes back to our conversation about this discussion. So right now in these languages, at least Go might be more evolved, and I suspect C# might be as well. But traditionally, at least C++ has had this problem, and I recall Java having this problem. And it's just like one of those things where you get to the file inclusion portion of the file, like right at the top, and you got 200 files there, and nobody knows. Like, hey, Jeff, do we need that 37th include file? I don't know. Ask Fred. Fred, what do you think? I don't know. We'll try to remove it. Removing it doesn't actually tell you necessarily all the stuff that you want to know, because if it's included by another inclusion, then it's already added, even if we remove the other one. I mean, like, obviously this is a rabbit hole, but hopefully I'm at least sparking an idea that these are the types of things in like the flurry of things that I think about as far as the future of software development, right? I think one, IDEs should be fully portable. Like they should run on your mobile, on your laptop, on your desktop, on the server, on your tablet. It should run everywhere, like the way Mentor works. The reason why Mentor is designed the way that it is we want this thing to run everywhere, because if you're spending a large majority of your time looking at code, you can look at it on your phone and your tablet and on an airplane or whatever, and like you can even edit it in various controlled settings. But the key thing is giving you access on all of these different mediums, because we know that understanding code is one of the core challenges. So why only let people reason about code when they're at their desktop or laptop? It just doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, that's part of it. But then, like another part is really this whole file thing. Like, what about these file things? And I don't know, but I think we need to rethink some of this stuff. I just think there's better ways, and it will likely make our life better. So then for example, when we're looking for something, we'll just say, find this concept, because I've got a bug in this component, and it's related to something related to the converters. And so you'll just say, find the converters, and then it'll just bring up the converters, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, right. Anyway, let's see the chat. Oh, yeah. So T's asking about at some future stream, it'd be interesting to hear thoughts on UX UI design, and some conversation Taylor and I had about maps interfacing in my car. And yeah, I think, I have a bunch of thoughts on that. Because, that's sort of what I do, is I like look at stuff and then think, is there a better way to do this? Like, for example, I started playing this game just recently, this Red Dead Redemption 2. And I gotta say, so far it's actually pretty cool, but the UI is so strangely slow. Like, for example, to save your game, you have to press this button, you have to scroll down to the story part, and then it brings up this other thing, and then from there you click on the save game, and then from there then that takes you into another thing, and then you scroll down into the save slot, and then any save slot that you pick, it asks you again, are you sure that you want to do in this new one, or you want to overwrite this other one? This seems wacky to me. Like, that is a lot of steps to save the game. And maybe there's a quick save, but it didn't like come up immediately. And I'm learning like all the other functionalities of this thing. Um, for example, in Cyberpunk 2077, I was able to figure out the quick save in it was like it was two presses. I press something on a controller, I press the Y button, it's quick saved, and I'm done. And I don't even have to look at the screen. It's just this button and then Y, and I'm there. Maybe that exists for Red Dead Redemption 2, but initially I couldn't find it. Irrespective of that, the fact that the save game is not on the main window and then you go down into that to the story and then you go down into the save game from story. What were you guys thinking? The part that's maybe even crazier is there is a quit game on that main screen. Again, I'm not trying to bash on Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm just trying to help people understand like what intelligent UI UX design looks like. Oftentimes what you want is the buttons that people are going to press the most. You want them to be the easiest to access because they're going to press them the most. Makes sense? Like the play button, right? So you pick on any of these games and the play button's there. It's also, this is not an accident, it's in the same location. So once you know where it is, any game, we can just basically close our eyes and we know it's going to be here, or it's going to ask you to install it, right? We go to this play button, right? It's always, this is a very good UI UX design. It doesn't move on us. So what we do is we lock it to our memory. So then every game, the different games, doesn't matter, right? It's always in the same location. Always. It's the same banner every time, same size banner every time. So we know exactly where to click to get this. Okay. That's super smart. Also, in addition to being in a constant place, this is the button that likely you're going to press the most once you install the game. And I think also just another level up move for Steam or Valve is that when the game isn't installed, the play button is replaced by install. Brilliant. Brilliant. Why is that brilliant? Because you can't play the game if it's not installed. So yeah, like this is smart UI UX. This is, somebody thought about this and thought, doesn't it kind of make sense that like, and then if if the game isn't installed, we'll have the install overlay over the play button because you can't play it if it's not installed. And so, and they're going to go right to that location anyway if they've used Valve, and then they'll know that it needs to be installed. Whereas if you put the install button somewhere else and you still have the play button is darked out and you're like, oh, I can't play it. Oh, right, I need to install it. Where's the install button? Right? This is masterclass. This is like really clever, intelligent, overlaid button design, UI, UX design that I think is warming the hearts of millions of gamers around the world. And most people, truthfully, you may not even realize this is happening because it's just so like natural. It's probably more like, why can't somebody design stuff the way that a Valve and Steam can? Right? That's probably how people would reference this. Because they may not know exactly what it is that they love so much. They just know that it's like, it's just better. Also, not trying to say that I'm right or anything, but I don't know that I set Steam into dark mode. Maybe I did, but I don't actually recall that. I think that maybe Steam is smart enough to realize that the world should just be by default dark mode. And I also want to say that and maybe this is us going a little bit too overzealous, but Mentor is by default in dark mode. And in fact, I think it may be that there is only dark mode. Okay. Maybe we should have more options, and maybe as we grow the company, we'll get more. But anyway, okay. Some more comments over from chat. Yeah, absolutely dark mode for the win. Uh, So +1 on some of the file and folder reference discussions. File system seems plus having the file system just figure it out seems like a wonderful use case, an opportunity. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Is it's sort of like one of those things where it's a great use, I think, for AI, and I think it would level up a lot of us. Like I don't know. Yeah, I love my system to figure it out if something should be kept hot or moved to colder levels of storage. Yeah, that one's like maybe a little bit more complicated, but I wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment. I think I would like the same thing. And I think Android does this, that after a while of not using apps, it will kind of say, you haven't used this app in a while. I can kind of cool this off and put it into some temporary location or something.